My name is Laura DeBoer and I'm an archaeologist with Davis McIntyre and Associates. We're running an archaeological dig here on the reserve for a house that's dated to about 1880 to 1920. We started excavation on July 7th and we actually identified this site almost a year ago when we were doing a preliminary walkover survey for transportation infrastructure renewal. And it's basically a public project, so we've hired 4 people from the reserve along with my regular crew, and we've been doing a full excavation. The 4 band members that we're working with, we have Jordan Bernard here.
Jordan Bernard. I'm from the community here in Paqtnkek. I find it interesting. I just started this week.
We have Naomi Paul and Nathan Johnson and Darnell Johnson. And then my regular crew from the Halifax area includes Irene Hart and Travis Kroll, our co-op students, along with my colleague Courtney Glenn, and our boss Steve Davis occasionally drops by.
My name is Irene Hart and I am a co-op student with Davis and McIntyre this summer. This is the first time I've actually been part of an excavation of this size. Actually, yesterday was my first really, unique find. I found this bottle in one of my units and I was told by Laura that it's very rare to find a full, complete bottle without it being broken. So this is kind of sort of the neat stuff that we find at the site that is really, bringing out the excitement in me.
I found this leather piece here and some glass and nails.
Jordan found this the other day. This is the leather boot heel for a child's shoe. There's actually still some wooden pegs where it would be connected to more layers of leather.
Where were the artifacts found?
They were found, they're actually within the path of a proposed connector road that's going to join up with the new Diamond Interchange down on the south side of the highway from the main body of the reserve and kind of up on a little hill above the Afton River. We're dealing with site number 1, which as you can see is within the toe of slope for this connector road. This up here is the toe of slope for the twinned highway and the main reserve is up here. We've identified other houses in the area, but they're all outside of the impact. So one of my favorite artifacts, I got lucky enough to find this myself. This is a little lead soldier. He's quite heavy. He's got like a little hat and things. He's almost pre-World War I. He's like a Boer War or something. We haven't got an exact date on him, but we're thinking probably before 1900. We have a louse comb. This is actually an early form of plastic, and Naomi Paul found this in her unit during our first week, I believe. A lot of the teeth are missing, but it's a really neat piece. Irene found this 2 days ago? 2 days ago. It's a nice little brooch. The back pin is missing, but it's it's got a modern aesthetic to it. I would probably wear that. Nathan Johnson found this. I'm just going to take this out of the bag to see if the camera can pick it up well, because the level of detail on it is absolutely beautiful. Nice suspender clip here that's of a type of copper alloy, we think. This is actually a fork, and part of the wood handle has survived, but the tines are broken off here. The end of a nice smoking pipe. You can see that it's bowed out a little to clench between your teeth. Those are some of my favorite things. The way that we dig is 1 meter by 1 meter squares, and we do one at a time going down. Each person gets a unit, and some of them, these artifacts are coming up just below the surface. A tin soldier here came up about that far down. Some of the units, because there's a drain and a cellar feature, we're actually finding things about 2 feet down. Mostly it's more shallow than that though. There's a stone foundation, and we're actually really surprised by how much stone there is. When we first found the site, we could see about 4 or 5 stones above the surface, and then the rest was kind of an earthen rectangular shape. But as we dig down, we find that the entire foundation is stone and probably had wooden sills sitting on top to build the entire house above. Other than that, it's mostly just nails that remain of the house itself.
So far, we've been here around 3 weeks now. It's just been a really great experience for me and everybody else on the site just to find these amazing new items each week.
We're here and digging with the approval of the Chief and the Band Council, and actually we're being funded by Transportation and Infrastructure Renewal. To the best of our knowledge, no archaeologist in Nova Scotia has ever excavated a native home from this time period. Usually native archaeology in Nova Scotia is contact or pre-contact, so about 500 years or more old. So we feel that there's a lot to learn about this kind of site, because we're dealing with a time period that's kind of pre-residential school or around residential school time, and we're getting information about living habits where we don't have a lot of written records anymore. And also a big part of it is also the community outreach. That's why we're here each Friday with the artifacts and reconnecting people with their history, a lot of things like that.
I find it very interesting, reflecting back on our history of a family that lived up there. I'm hoping the more I work, the more I find.